7, 8, 9, 10.
I'm good, yeah. I was definitely, I saw it go off for a minute.
The only reason I had time to
show here? Get your stuff out of the way. Get your old Mr. Clay out of there. This is my old stuff.
Good afternoon, and thanks to all of you for tuning in this afternoon for today's update. The state of Mississippi continues to work closely with county, state, federal, and private sector partners to respond to the severe winter weather impacting our state. Sadly, today I have 4 more deaths have been reported, 1 in Lafayette County, 1 in Panola County, and 2 in Tippah County. This brings the total to 14 statewide during this event. Life safety remains our top priority. The Mississippi Emergency Management Agency has received reports of 223 homes, 10 businesses, 7 farms damaged, destroyed, or affected statewide. Additionally, 20 public roads have sustained major damage, 50 have sustained minor damage, and 12 have been destroyed. 2 bridges have sustained minor damage. Those numbers are expected to rise as damage assessments continue. We currently have 79 warming centers open in 44 counties throughout the state. The Mississippi Department of Transportation continues to work and clear problem areas on I-55, I-22, I-69, I-269, I-302, US 72, and US 61. These problem areas obviously are a result of temperatures dropping below freezing last night, with black ice accumulation and moisture refreezing on the roadways. The Mississippi Department of Public Safety and the Mississippi Department of Transportation are opening portions of I-55 North incrementally as our DOT crews continue to advance towards the Tennessee state line. I encourage you to monitor MDOT and DPS media alerts for the latest updates on road conditions. At this time, I want to just show you, when I talk about a whole of government approach, I want to show you a video of the Mississippi Department of Transportation, the Mississippi Department of Public Safety protecting those road workers, and the flight here is from the Mississippi National Guard. As you can see, the roadway is improving, but we still have more work to do. Here's a second video where a great amount of work has been done here. This is around, this is on I-55 north of the Batesville exit. You see slow traffic moving south, and the lanes relatively clear, 2 lanes going north, but again, it depends on where you are on the interstate as to whether 2 lanes are cleared or if only 1 lane is cleared. This obviously is at the 255-mile marker on the interstate. The Mississippi Emergency Management Agency continues to deploy requested personnel and resources to impacted counties. The Mississippi State Department of Health has 3 ambulances and 6 personnel in Yalobusha County, and 2 ambulances and 4 personnel in Tippah County to provide emergency medical services as well as to treat and transport patients. The Mississippi Department of Health is also standing up a medical needs shelter with both equipment and supplies in Lafayette County. The Department of Public Safety is deploying extra Mississippi Highway Patrol officers to assist with daily calls. There have been reports, again, particularly on social media, of various challenges with getting law enforcement to the scene of accidents. Obviously, it is going to be harder for them to get there when the weather conditions are as they are. It's going to be harder for them to get there when there is traffic backed up. But it's also harder for them to get there if you are calling the wrong number. So please, I want to make sure we get this information out. It's star HP, is that right? Star HP or 911 if you are in an emergency to get highway patrol assistance. The Mississippi Emergency Management Agency is also constantly coordinating with the Mississippi National Guard to deploy generators, water, MREs, fuel, cots, and blankets that have been requested. 5 Mississippi National Guard trucks loaded with 66 pallets of meals, blankets, water, and cots were delivered to Marshall, Bolivar, and Lafayette County yesterday. The Mississippi National Guard is flying Chinook helicopters, and we continue to deliver supplies to impacted counties via helicopter. In fact, more than 70,000 pounds of supplies have been delivered by those Chinooks, and I will tell you that we have both MEMA personnel as well as National Guard personnel in virtually every county, particularly and specifically to ensure that we are getting accurate information from our emergency management coordinators in each of those counties. The Mississippi National Guard is also mobilizing another 150 soldiers to bring the total to 650 soldiers assisting with response efforts. The Guard is supporting MDOT in clearing roads in Alcorn, Lafayette, Panola, and Tippah counties. Additionally, the Guard has completed a mission to help transport dialysis patients in Claiborne County. A Mississippi National Guard Black Hawk helicopter also evac 2 people from Oxford to a hospital in Memphis earlier today. Volunteer organizations are coordinating with MEMA to help in the impacted communities. The Mississippi Baptist Disaster Relief is mobilizing volunteers for chainsaw operations. 8 Days of Hope is providing free meals through their mass feeding ministry to Mississippians and deploying a rapid response team to help clean up. Samaritan's Purse and the Cajun Navy are on the ground in Mississippi helping in the impacted counties. Businesses are coordinating with MEMA's Business Emergency Operations Center to assist as well. Walmart, in coordination with Matthew 25 Ministries' Tide Loads of Hope program, is sending a laundry and shower trailer with mobile charging to their Oxford store. The state of Mississippi welcomes all volunteers who want to help. However, we strongly encourage individuals to avoid self-deploying. Instead, please join a verified organization or nonprofit that assists during disasters before heading into the affected area. The United States Army Corps of Engineers is assisting in generator installations at critical infrastructure sites. A total of 45 generators have been installed in critical locations in impacted counties. 6 generators have been installed in warming centers and shelters. 24 have been installed in water systems, 4 at water towers, 3 in personal care homes, 2 in assisted living facilities and long-term care homes. We have installed 5 in correctional facilities, and we have installed 1 at a fueling station. The Federal Emergency Management Agency is continuing to support Mississippi's efforts. FEMA is filling the state's request for 90 generators, 128,000 bottles of water, 107,000 meals, 2,178 cots, 9,000 blankets, 3,360 tarps, and 300 medical grade oxygen cylinders. FEMA is also sending 4 Starlink satellites. Additionally, Starlink is providing 20 Starlink devices for counties to use. Power companies. Obviously, we are less than 100,000 Mississippians without power now. That number has almost been cut in half from its peak, but we still have a long, long way to go. But power companies have deployed thousands of linemen to help restore power as quickly as possible. Approximately 98,000 outages remain throughout the state, down from that peak number of 180,000. For other ways to help our fellow Mississippians, please visit the January winter weather page on the MEMA website at January 2026 winter weather. The National Weather Service is forecasting another weekend of extremely cold temperatures. The state of Mississippi encourages all of you to please continue to check on family, on friends, and neighbors. We have had a positive day of weather today, and we've made a lot of progress, on those interstate highways. But we also know that tomorrow the weather is going to get above freezing in North Mississippi, but not for very long and not very much above 32. We know that the current forecast calls for Saturday for the weather not to get above freezing. And so, again, as we have said, we're going to continue to pray for those linemen, for all of the state workers that these gentlemen behind me represent, that are out working daily to make lives better for our fellow Mississippians and continue to respond to what I think we can all agree is certainly the worst ice storm we've had in the southern United States, at least since 1994. And based upon the information I'm getting from the ground, probably much longer than that. So today I've asked each of these individuals standing behind me to be here. Obviously we've got a little bit of daylight left. Their teams are continuing to work and will continue to work, but so as to just try to shorten this, I'm going to stop right now. Rather than turning it over to them, just open the floor to questions that you may have. We're happy to answer as many questions as you have, but we want to take as best use of the remaining 4 or 5 hours that we have of temperatures above freezing in North Mississippi. So with that, questions? Yes, sir.
About the 4 deaths, do you know the ages, locations, or causes of those deaths?
Yeah, so I am not at liberty to discuss that. I can confirm that the deaths have occurred. I can confirm, as I mentioned earlier, the counties where those deaths were reported, but someone other than me is going to have to, once we are sure that next of kin, et cetera, are made aware, they will be announced by those county coroners. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I guess in hindsight, maybe a question for MDOT. I guess did you guys learn anything from this storm, or could have done anything better, than you did before?
Yeah, I'll let Brad answer this, but I will tell you that we learn something in every storm. We ensure that we are trying to get better at disaster preparedness and disaster response, and I'm sure that the Mississippi Department of Transportation joins all of us in saying there are things that we could have done better, and there are things that we will do better next time. But I will also remind you, number one, that we're still in the middle of the response. I will tell you that these storms that are significantly larger than anything that we've ever seen in the history of our state, and the fact that we just don't get ice that often in the state of Mississippi. And as I mentioned yesterday to our friend the weatherman up in North Mississippi, the hardest hit area in this storm was really in North Louisiana, that area through the state of Mississippi, and then in Middle Tennessee. And we are going to continue to work to recover and make sure we can get more and more folks moving and ensure that we are delivering the supplies that need to be delivered, whether that's via the roadways or via helicopter in the Mississippi National Guard. So, anybody else wants?
If you look back, knowing what we know now, there are some things that had we known the way everything would have played out that we would have certainly done different. But like the governor said, we learned something from every storm. The way Mississippi responds and prepares for hurricanes changed drastically after Katrina. And I'm sure that the way we prepare and respond to ice storms will change a lot after this. The only thing that I can think of that would have been considered differently would have been a call on whether or not to completely shut down the interstate during that time. But I would remind you that a decision like that would have brought just a whole set of additional problems or different problems and challenges alongside of the ones that we've had currently. So it would have kind of been a decision between which set of problems do you want to have to deal with or which set of challenges. But as with any type of emergency afterwards, I plan to have meetings with our team, our leadership, will be going through every step that we did, what information we had, when did we get it, what can be improved upon, what did we find that worked, what did we find didn't work, what additional equipment might we need, what additional materials, how could you store that and down here. But you know, so there'll be a time to review all of that and make sure that we review our notes and make sure that the next time that what lessons there were to be learned, that we take advantage of that, you know.
Yes, sir.
Just to follow up to that question, so how would you, with all the resources you all have had come out, how would you grade the state's response to the storm?
We're in the middle of response mode right now. I'm not going to give a grade. I will tell you there are literally hundreds and thousands of Mississippians right now out in the field that are working their ass off, and I would give them an A+ for doing it in very difficult conditions. And I will just tell you, every time I am out and about in the field, I told this story yesterday when I sat there and looked in the faces of those that hospitalists and those nurses in the Tippah County hospital yesterday. It just made me proud to be a Mississippian, because they were standing up and they were doing whatever was needed and whatever was necessary to help their patients. And so again, there'll be plenty of time for Monday morning quarterback. I hear it. You know, we just got done with college football season, and every Monday morning I hear people talking about how the quarterback should have been better, or we should have put in the second string quarterback, or we shouldn't have played the second string quarterback. There'll be plenty of time for that, but that time's not really right now, because we're still literally in response mode. General Ginn, I feel fairly confident, has people up in the air in helicopters right now delivering supplies. He has people on the ground. MEMA has folks moving supplies, and so I just want to thank those individuals that are working extremely hard to get that done. Yes, ma'am.
Alex in Mississippi today has a question.
Awesome.
Thank you, Governor. I was just wondering, in terms of the water system struggles that are going on right now, are you able to say either just which major water systems are offline at this moment, or just how many water systems right now are struggling or offline, or any information like that?
Yeah, so I don't know if I said this earlier or not, and I may not have the specific numbers here. We did have, in our coordinated call and meeting right before this press conference, we did have a representative of the Mississippi State Department of Health, which obviously is the expert when it comes to water systems. And I forget the exact numbers, although I will make sure that you get this. There are somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 26 different water systems that have a generator of some kind that are pumping water to help them stay on. And I'll just have to get you those specific numbers, because I don't have them in front of me. Max got it, so he's going to give you that right now.
Yeah, part of the Commander General staff that MEMA has, that is what we do. We've had the Department of Health has deployed out to us as well, and we're working through that. So we've got 10 systems right now serving a population of about 17,500 that are non-operational. We've got another group, 63, that are serving a population of 121,000 plus that are on generator power. So we're worrying about those on generator power. Can we keep it up? Where's the maintenance on those coming from, et cetera, et cetera. And we've got, under boiled water notice, 24 systems that are doing about 49 to 50,000 folks. So we're really worried about those ones that we call non-operational in the impacted area. That means the generator's gone down. They just don't have the pressure to keep the water in the tanks to create that out within the jurisdictions. So that's the ones we're concentrating on. We've been hitting home runs with those 45, 46 generators, putting them on those systems to get them out of that non-operational, as we call it, status. So what we are identifying the ones that are just under restriction that are on generator, we worry about those. Those become a special class of systems out there. And the boil water notice, the ones that are doing that, it is inconvenient, but you still have water flowing in your house, and you're able to do that. And the Department of Health is ready to do testing. Talked to that gentleman today that's on our team. He's here with us, and he's able to identify those. We're making personal phone calls to each water system within the state, and he's the one racking and stacking that information for us, so we can be ready to jump ahead of a problem before it gets into that bad category. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. And let me just add one more thing to that, because I think it helps you get a perspective of what we're dealing with. Mac talked about the number of water systems in which we are personally engaged. I would just point out that I know for a fact that one of those is in Rolling Fork, Mississippi, and one of those is in Tippah County, Mississippi, which are a couple hundred miles apart. So that just kind of gives you a perspective of the size and the severity of this storm, and how many counties, up to 51 now in our state, that have been impacted by this severe weather event. Yes, ma'am.
Alex has a follow-up.
Okay.
Thank you again. I understand that FEMA is looking at raising the threshold for public assistance qualification for different states, including Mississippi. I'm just wondering if there's any concern that that raised threshold could impact possible assistance for this disaster?
No, I don't think we have any, we're not going to have any, when you look at the total amount of money that we are spending, we're not going to have any challenges, I don't believe, meeting whatever the threshold may be, because this is a once every 30-year storm. And so, look, we've been in constant contact with our partners at FEMA. We have multiple members here in this EOC. We have multiple members of FEMA at Camp McCain embedded with our Mississippi National Guard team. I have personally heard from the Secretary of Homeland Security multiple times over the last several days, and we have been in relatively constant contact with the White House as well. The fact is that there's a lot of conversation surrounding FEMA and what's going on in the last year and what's going to happen in the future. We have laws in place, and we're operating under the system, and honestly, even though the damage is significant and widespread, the relations are going as they often do, as well as can be expected, given the circumstances. Yes, sir.
Governor, you mentioned the fact that we're receiving generators through the government. What kind of wattage are these generators? Are they sufficient enough to handle the water sources that you have set up at the hospital? I mean, how big are these things?
Well, and you know, it's a good question, and it's one that we actually have to ask pretty regularly to those who are requesting generators, because the answer to your question is, what is the wattage, et cetera, and the answer to your question is yes. Whatever is needed is what we have available, but it is incredibly important that when someone asks for a generator, that they are exceptionally specific as to exactly what they need. And so, you know, that's one of the challenges that we had early on Monday. Everyone here and everyone in my office were getting calls. I need a generator. Well, that's good. We want to try to get you one. We've got generators either here or en route, but you've got to be specific as to exactly what you can need, what you can take, and I will tell you that has gotten much better over the last 24 to 36 hours, because if you're not specific, there's no way we can't send a helicopter with one generator up to wherever the warming center is, or wherever the water system is, or wherever the long-term care facility is, until we know exactly and specifically what is needed. I don't know if anyone wants to speak to any specifics.
I got it. We've got some specialized teams along with the National Guard coming out of UAC, the Corps of Engineers, and these teams we put all the way up into Tupelo. So we've pushed them farther into the state, closer to the action, because Brad did a great job. We're able to get some teams up there in the helicopters. So they go out as a specialist team to say, can that building or can that facility even take a generator? In some cases, they cannot. We're not going to burn down a nursing home or whatnot. If it can't be done safely, then we're going to have to move that entire. That's where the Department of Health comes in and others. So we actually go out, look at them, gauge them to make sure we can. Then we have the right generator doing the right job. Some water systems say they need 3 generators. Well, they don't need one except for got 4,000 watts, because they're just creating more pressure. It's just a pressure pump. They're not running an entire pump to throw the water up into the bigger holding tanks and whatnot. So great question. So that's where when we made our request to FEMA, I said I want a myriad of generators on those trailers. When they come down, I want 30 of different sizes. Got that 30, got the next 30, got the next 30. So we're right sizing those to where they need to go, because I don't want to waste one 140 KW1 on one that only needs that little smaller one. So thank you for your question, and we do have the specialized teams that are doing that, and that might take us a little bit longer, but the right thing in the right place, and it'll last. And also that allows us, we're filling them. We know the burn rates on every one of those generators. So we know we need to fill them every 8 hours, we need to fill them every 12 hours, and then when we're gonna shut it down to do some maintenance, change the oil and get it right back up and running, and if something happens, we've got one to replace it. So that's the long term, that back end, that last mile that's gotta be considered when you're getting into some of that permanent power.
You good? Yes, sir.
Yeah, so when it comes to self-reporting damage, I know some people are still without power. Will those deadlines be extended for those who can't report right now?
So, from the date of this declaration, which was emergency measures, we have 30 days. But of course, this is, our operational period was, I think the first time we said, oh, it's gonna be 2 days, 23 or 24, 25, guess what, this is 27. So this operational period is not closed. FEMA and MEMA said, now we're the 23rd to the 27th. So we're moving this date until we get out of emergency response mode, life safety. We hit recovery mode, that's the day, that's when it'll start. At that time, we'll bother people and say, hey, you can report your damages online, you can take a picture, we have that system to be able to do that and fill it out. But right now, just life safety, food, keep warm, water, that's what we're gonna do. So that line's keep it moving. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
What about the supply chain distribution? So now I know Kroger and Clinton, their shelves were empty, some stores up Oxford and Clinton. How's the supply chain going with the roads, some of the roads being closed?
Yeah, I mean, look, we've talked a lot about roads in Mississippi over the last 24 to 48 hours, and with good reason. But I was just seeing, before we came out here, earlier today, I-40 west of Memphis in Arkansas was shut down for a long period of time. There was an 18-wheeler that got caught in the ice and jackknifed. We're seeing that all over the country right now, certainly all over the South. And because of that, it is disrupting some of the supply chains. And so I think that I certainly can't speak specifically to what that is doing to specific restaurants or specific grocery stores, but we're certainly seeing some of that here in our state and around the South. Yes, sir.
And another question. One of our viewers called us that they're in the Montgomery County or Antilla counties, and they said they've been hit hard, but they haven't seen any help or where it's coming from. Have y'all been in those counties?
So Montgomery County and I presume Attala County, which would be the Kosciuszko area. Yes, we have been in those areas, and we have a specific generator that we have put in.
We put multiples.
And so yeah, the answer is yes, and look, we are working and coordinating with all of the local county emergency management personnel, and as requests are put in, we are trying to first verify the need for those requests, and then and being good stewards of this particular generous declaration made by the president, but also getting help to the people who need it. Yes, sir.
You mentioned federal involvement. How much is the state going to ask, or are they going to have an evaluation period by which they review damage to the bridges, damage to the roads, what the state can and has in its bank for that, and what the feds will be able to provide?
Yeah, so the president's declaration that he signed on Saturday allows us to do what we're doing right now. But we always know that the major federal debt that we are going to request in the near future, which the team is already working on, but that requires assessments and trying to assess exactly how much damage there is out there. We know that there is a lot of damage. We know that there is an enormous effort by utility companies, power companies, by the Department of Transportation, by the Mississippi National Guard, by the Department of Health, by the Department of Public Safety, and so many others. But as we hopefully over the next few days, and maybe it's after Friday, Saturday, and Sunday when the weather gets bad again, we are in constant communication with what that declaration needs to say before we send it up to the president for expansion of what that looks like. By the way, this is not unusual. This happens in every storm. We work with and negotiate with the folks at FEMA, who, and this is going to take a little bit longer than most because, again, the event happened Friday night through Sunday, but with the cold temperatures Sunday night and Monday, sort of the response was delayed a little bit as we were trying to get it safe for our people to respond. And so that's where we find ourselves right now, but we'll continue to have those conversations. Yes, sir.
What do you want to say to those Mississippians that we talk to? There's some in North Mississippi that say we dropped the ball, especially when they compare the roads. Because Memphis, you see some photos, the roads are clear of ice, and all 3 lanes are drivable. But in Mississippi, some are still blocked with ice.
Yeah, so obviously Mississippi got hit very hard. I would say to people all across our state, we're continuing to work to get help to the people who need it. We have personnel working literally as we speak on roads throughout Mississippi. You know, if you look at just look at the damage. So we didn't really talk about this yesterday, but I think we should, because I hear a lot of comparisons to what's happening in Panola County and what's happening in Memphis, and I think you may have mentioned Memphis. You really don't need to compare what happened in Panola County to what happened in Memphis. Talk about what happened, the number of power outages in that area that was hit in Mississippi, in Panola and Tate and Lafayette and Tippah and Alcorn and Tishomingo counties, with those counties in Middle Tennessee right above that, because we got different levels of the storm and different levels of ice. And so, again, we continue to work to respond. We've got literally thousands of people out there working as we speak, and we will continue to do that until this particular event is behind us. And as we have been saying since last Thursday or Friday, this event is not going to be behind us in an hour or a month or a day. This is going to take a week or 2 weeks to get the power back on, to get the streets back safe, and that's just where we find ourselves given the severity of the damage. Yes, sir.
And my final question.
Okay.
With the weather also supposed to be super cold this weekend, how are y'all doing any extra precautions to help those residents up north, and what should the residents be prepared for compared from last weekend?
Yeah, so the weather is going to be bad in Mississippi this weekend in terms of temperatures. And so if you do not have power yet, and it is not expected that you're going to get power in the next day or 2 or 3, and you do not have a way in which to stay warm at night, as I mentioned earlier, we have approximately 79 warming centers open in 44 counties. The weather was better today, and so hopefully the roads are better. But if you are in a facility and you don't have either access to gas heat or fireplace, and you only have electric and you do not have power, then you really need to be thinking about planning to get to one of these warming centers where we do have supplies that have been deployed, where we have heat in these facilities, and that's what we would strongly encourage you to do. Again, we've seen from a peak of 180,000 throughout the state not having power to below 100,000. I'm hoping that number continues to go down over the next 4 to 5 hours. But there are going to be a relatively large number of homes that do not have power going into this weekend, and so try to do what you can to plan now. If you know someone that does not have power, please check on them. Please help them get to a warming center if that is an option, because we are going to see very, very frigid temperatures starting tomorrow and going through Sunday. Yes, sir.
The Department of Public Safety obviously has been doing yeoman's work in the field. How are they working their hours with them perhaps having full-time staffs out there? What kind of manship or problems do they have, or have they made adjustments for this contract?
Yeah, I'm going to let Tad, who is the Colonel of the Mississippi Highway Patrol, answer this question because he's going to be able to give you specifics. But I will tell you that everyone involved in this response would probably define working full-time a little bit differently than what the average person thinks. There have been a lot of people working around the clock all across the state. But Tad, you want to speak specifically to your troopers?
Yes, sir. I can tell you what we've done. So we've utilized the state troopers along with our commercial transportation officers. We have about 40 officers out of shift right now, but mostly up north, Panola, Tate, the problem areas that you see. We have 12-hour shifts, so I have 40 officers going from 6 in the morning to 6 at night, and then I got them all night. So there'll be at least 40 officers on those highways all night tonight and for the foreseeable future, as long as the governor and MDOT lets us know that we need them. So they'll be out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel, and thanks to everyone for joining today. We sincerely appreciate y'all covering these press conferences. It is incredibly important that we get information out to our fellow citizens. We continue to pray for Mississippi, and we ask that you do the same. Thank y'all, and God bless.